Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So as you can tell by the title, we'll be talking about a dangerous and damaging storm that is going on, a fall storm right now across the United States. You can see I have the radar pulled up. There is quite a bit of activity. There were some very impressive hail measurements with some of the thunderstorms. There was also some very powerful wind gusts. Damage, in terms of damage, I don't know, but I can only imagine based on what I saw in my neighborhood how bad it could be where the storms were stronger, as we didn't really get hit by the strongest. So yeah, I'll be going over what's the move of that front next, the northeast, the midwest, right, and then the following pattern, kind of showing you a bit of the long range as I usually do. Alright, if you guys are new to this channel, hello and welcome. Check out the channel, watch the video. If you enjoy this channel, consider subscribing. Obviously, don't subscribe just because I told you so. And if you are again, if you like the video, you could also hit that thumbs up. So consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up button. If you have any comments or concerns, leave them down below. I try getting to as many as possible. All right, so let's get into this. Okay, so let's put this radar that I've been showing you now into motion. So I do want to say that a good portion of the Midwest has already seen this severe weather, and this will continue to push into the Mid-Atlantic. Really, I should say the Northeast, as it won't really be dragging its impacts that far to the south. It looks very vigorous and intense. I have been mentioning in my prior videos that this line, this part of this storm system was a bit underestimated by the models. The GFS didn't really show this a part of the cold front with the thunderstorm stretching all the way into Illinois and into Iowa, and you could see that that did happen. So again, you could see that obviously dropped quite a bit of rain. We didn't get hit by the worst of it, and I guess that's a good thing, but we didn't really get any rain, so that was a bit unfortunate. We kind of got missed out, but that's okay. I would rather take no rain than get absolutely pummeled by some hail. There have been some redevelopments. Notice there was like a line right there that redeveloped across northern Illinois. Look at that thing right there into Michigan. There were some tornado warnings issued. I don't know if any were confirmed. Look at that. That is most definitely a impressive hail core you can imagine. Thankfully, this is going over mainly farmlands here across southeastern Canada. But yeah, goodness, this is now right about to make impact into Toronto. Again, the rain is going to be torrential, wind-swept, kind of that sideways rain, and also it is going to be met with obviously that very heavy, strong wind, which I think this, when it passed through my area, it was probably the strongest wind event I've seen this year. Obviously, there have been stronger in years prior, but for this year, it was definitely the most it's gotten, the closest it's gotten to chopping down a few trees and whatnot. So yeah, notice this thing's still not really done. It will continue as it pushes towards Detroit, into, look at that, into portions of Illinois. Very, very strong thunderstorms now approaching Champaign, Danville, Lafayette. Even right there, some redeveloping, pushing towards Kankakee. I do want to mention that on the backflow of the system, which gives us a look at why this system is kind of a fall storm, it has a lot of these circulation kind of wraparound precipitation. And some of these are also pretty nasty thunderstorms. I wouldn't say severe, but they definitely drop occasional bursts of very heavy rain. Those kind of like in the wintertime where you have these showers that are snow, or in the springtime when you have those snow showers or rain showers that are kind of the wraparound of big systems. This is kind of the same thing, just a bit more amplified with that rain. And yeah, one minute it's sunny, and then the other minute it's cloudy with a downpour. So that's definitely what's going on right now across southeastern Canada. Let's put the models on and let me show you what the future holds. So let's take a look at the HER model. This is a very good high-res model. It shows us what's in the future, and it only goes out to 48 hours every 6 hours, so I went back a few model runs, but the information shouldn't be dated. Let's take a look at this. So again, it's a bit behind right now. It's 6 o'clock standard time when I'm recording this, and what we see is these storms potentially redeveloping again across several locations. I would say this model is a bit too excited about the back development, maybe into Missouri. We have seen, again, that kind of struggling. One thunderstorm has erupted into Kansas, not really Missouri. Maybe it will as the night wears on. But notice that the northern side of this definitely does bring some rain into Detroit. Potentially, again, redeveloping little pockets, little again, severe thunderstorms. But as the night wears on, this really loses steam. And with the weekend sun, or really it's gone at this time of the day, 2 a.m., which is also, here is always a date if you want it, and the time. it will be weaker, and there will be still showers and storms, but not as vigorous as what we've been seeing this afternoon. However, it does redevelop tomorrow as it pushes into the northeast. There's actually a flash flood watch issued right now for northern New Jersey, portions of Pennsylvania, and southern New York. Because look, so we do see it redeveloping 12, 11, right, but really does start picking up across the northeast at around 1, 2, 3. It could be a 1-2 punch of these storms. Notice how there's kind of a little first line that develops. That could definitely be again, severe storms, quite a bit of rain, but that's not the main line. So if you're seeing storms across New Jersey tomorrow and New York, anywhere in the northeast around 5, that's most likely the first wave, as the second wave kind of gets into portions of New York and Pennsylvania at around 10 or 11, and that one is looking to be the bigger, better one. And again, a lot of these areas have seen a ton of rain from the remnants of Ida, so torrential downpours and several rounds of those downpours are really not something those folks are wanting. And you can see that some of these precipitation amounts could be rather intense. Obviously isolated, the highest amounts, but I would say that up to 2 to 3 inches in some locations is possible. And unfortunately, it's targeting really the areas that got hit the worst with this, with the remnants of Ida. So not good. Regarding Pennsylvania, Ohio, during the night, again, lesser amounts. There still will be some pockets of heavy rain, and into obviously Michigan and Canada, where it's going on right now. It is definitely producing high, widespread amounts of 1 to 3 inches of rain, which is prompting some flash flood emergencies. Let's take a look at some other models. I do this. I show many models because I often compare it to news sources. You don't want to just look at one model. You want to look at several models and see which model, not really which one's the best, but if they agree or not. And this is the NAM 3KM. What it shows differently is a bit more rain towards Pennsylvania, Ohio, a bit more towards Michigan, Indiana, and it does show a bit less for the Northeast, but sorry about that. It definitely still shows those pockets definitely approaching up to 2 inches in some locations. I could show you its radar interpretation. Again, this is what it thinks will be going on at around 6, and that's roughly what is going on. It's a bit behind this model. It's actually a bit ahead, this line of storms in reality, but as we push into the overnight, notice it does weaken. Definitely still showers and storms. Just because it weakened, it doesn't mean that Cleveland, if you live in Cleveland, you won't be waking up at 4 o'clock from a clap of thunder. That's definitely a possibility. Maybe Pennsylvania, Erie, again, as it crosses Lake Erie. Again, there could be a 1-2 punch, and the NAM 3KM does show some storms starting to develop around 3-4 p.m. Not as strongly as a HER model, but that second line does end up making a impact, and again, that's more towards 10 or 11 at night. And yeah, definitely impressive. It could be a show of some impressive feats of lightning and whatnot. I do want to mention, this is kind of a bit of a weather geek moment, but it's a big fall storm. It brings a lot of cool air over the lake waters, and look what happens. There's a bit of lake effect rain. Notice right there across Michigan, it shows actual little thunderstorms kind of developing and coming up Lake Huron. Probably won't be as impressive as what it shows here, but definitely some showers and cloud cover from the lakes is possible. And that really brings us to our next point. What's behind this system? And let me show you what the models think will happen. Let's go back to the zoomed out large view of the United States, and I want to show you the temperatures. There will be quite a few temperature anomalies that reach a interesting level, if you will. So again, look at that. There's our system, right? This is tomorrow at 1 p.m. So again, those storms across the Northeast. But look, a good portion of the United States, again, many more are affected by the cool weather brought by this system rather than just the rain brought by it. Obviously, the cool weather isn't extraordinary. It's definitely the heat anomaly is greater, but out in the west, but definitely something that will provide folks with some nice relief, even for a few days, which is nice. And notice it does hang around into the southeast up until really the weekend and even the East Coast, but as you could see, clearly indicated by the GFS and most other models, basically bring in the heat across much of the U.S. into portions of the weekend or into the time frame of the weekend, there will be pockets of cooler air, potentially even more cool downs if a system develops that's a bit stronger than the GFS is currently anticipating with their model run I'm showing you. But you could see, I mean, look at those anomalies. One day it's very warm, the other day it's still warm, just not as warm, and the cool really seems limited. And that seems to be the trend. If it is going to be cooler, it's across the Great Lakes, southern Canada, the east. However, it looks as if we get further and further out into, say, middle of September. It looks as if there will be widespread heat across much of the United States, maybe excluding the Northwest. While the Northwest is kind of dealing with the heat currently, there are some model indications showing they could be seeing some pretty cool air, as there could be some precip falling there from some storm systems. Notice the GFS does definitely show that. Unfortunately, it's not really nothing for the Southwest where they need it the most. And again, those warm temperatures won't be helping out. Any precip that does fall seems to be across the northern U.S., the east, and the south. Okay, let's take a glance at one more model, the European, and I want to talk about this current fall system that is occurring right now. And let me show you this. So, again, it's at a 6-hour interval, so it goes through this very, very fast. It's not like a 1-hour interval like the NAM 3KM I showed you, which is more high res. There it is. You can see out ahead of Detroit, really, again, where we are currently. This is what the European thinks it looks like, and that's pretty accurate. I would say it's a bit weaker, though, for kind of southern Michigan. Not as profound, the convection of thunderstorms. I could say that's a good thing. Less folks could potentially get hurt or damaged by the impacts of the systems. But unfortunately, little rain where obviously those thunderstorms don't develop. So it's kind of like a, tough love, if you will. You don't really want a damaging storm, but you also want some rain. So, yeah. And notice that the system, again, as I mentioned, is very big. We have these lines of red. These red lines are here, and that indicates basically that the flow is coming from the north and west, and anytime that does happen, really any time of the year, that indicates some cooler temperatures, and again, as I showed you by the GFS, that is going to be the case. Look what it develops across the northeast. Again, it does show a bit of development prior to that cold front, and then the actual cold front kind of visits the northeast. Notice that areas like Boston, Connecticut, really, especially Cape Cod, could be dealing with that rain up until Friday, as a kind of a secondary low pressure starts pushing a bit towards the north rather than just swiped off with the rest of the front. So that's going to be interesting to see. But thankfully, one good thing with this cold front is it might bring some rain, some flooding, some severe weather threat, quite a bit of it actually. But it's going to keep Larry from really creating giant impacts for the U.S. There will be rip currents across much of the eastern seaboard from Hurricane Larry into this weekend. But, that cold front will sweep the rest of its threats away. Let's take a look at what the European shows in the long range, just for fun. Notice it develops another system that could be very similar, just the cold front's much weaker. It actually develops a bit of snow into northern Quebec. And as we push this into the time of the future, we see more activity, definitely a bit different than what we've been seeing with the current storms. You could see it's more west to east oriented, and potentially more of a pattern that's not really dependent on large circulation lows, but something you would typically see more in the summer, these just batches of precipitation. And really, the GFS latest model run does show a very, very similar thing. And let's take a look at this. So again, look at that. There's our little system, a little bit of snow, then these batches of precip rain, kind of unorganized. It does show some sort of a system trying to recoup this, but look what happens towards the long range. And again, I've been saying this, that towards the long range, it looks as if there will be a pattern change. Now, what that pattern change will consist of, will it bring even warmer temperatures or bigger storms? We'll have to wait and see. You can see that there definitely is going to be activity. It's most likely going to be a active pattern change, not a quiet one. And look at that right there. Pretty large system develops across the southern Canada area, the prairies, the plains of the U.S., and of course a snowstorm, which the GFS again has been showing for quite some time across this time frame and in various locations. Unfortunately, lack of consistency, but you could imagine that would be some severe weather across Wisconsin, Illinois. That cold front is very powerful, and that does obviously bring a bit of snow into those locations, so definitely quite a bit to watch for. The 2-meter temperature anomaly obviously shows very warm temperatures out ahead of any storm that develops cool air behind it, kind of like what we're seeing with the current one. Just this one would be a bit more aggressive and larger in magnitude. So again, I always do show the long range because folks seem to like it, and it gets excited. Kind of anticipation's half the fun with these systems, and so as we head into fall, the end of September into, well, we're not at the end of September, but towards the middle and end of September, we start seeing these fall storms into winter, the speculation kind of, and that's really fun and exciting. So it's important, obviously, to focus on the short range, but also the long range. It just keeps us keeps it entertained, if you will. That's a good portion of why I got into the weather in the first place. I genuinely like it, believe it or not. And as we push this, I want to show you, by the way, this is the CFS. It's extremely long-range model. You can see 700 hours. Usually I don't use it unless I just want to get myself excited about a winter pattern in late or mid-fall, because, again, it goes out a month, so it's bound to show some snow with very little accuracy. But let's just see what it shows. So you can see it shows activity. Again, the 540 line getting lower. But, again, as I mentioned, I think this fall will be warmer for at least the first half, and really, this model actually agrees with that, showing the 540 line steering clear of the United States, maybe just southern Canada. All right, before we go, I want to show you one more quick little thing. Okay, and that little thing I want to show you is the National Weather Service map for advisories, warnings. As the title says, this is the destructive system or damaging. It depends on what I will kind of call it, but something along those lines. And basically, there was a bunch of severe thunderstorm watches into northern Illinois, Wisconsin earlier. Now it has just been kind of expired and secluded towards Indiana and central Illinois. Notice that there are still storms that are severe warned. Look at this one. They all had pretty large hail, and you could see this one. I mean, come on, that is ridiculous. 2-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. Obviously, this won't be producing 2-inch hail throughout its whole history, but if at any point it does, that will be damaging, if not life-threatening, to anything caught outside, including humans, animals, and obviously destructive in terms of property damage. Let's take a look at the one in Champaign. Lots of, again, pretty large city in the central Illinois area, if not one of the largest ones. Severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the hail is a bit more tame and nickel-sized, but again, that could still hurt if it hits you and pelts you. And obviously the wind gust and torrential rain with that. I do want to say that this doesn't show southern Canada, but Toronto is right now, again, definitely under the Canadian version of a severe thunderstorm warning. And you can see Detroit's under severe thunderstorm watch. We do have some marine warnings, which basically is a severe thunderstorm warning for the water. And if we were to take a glance at that, let's see, right there, you would probably see that the impacts are going to be obviously quite big. The winds, small craft could be damaged, and that is definitely something that you'd have to watch for if you're out in the waters. And again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, look at that. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York have a flood watch, and that's ahead of that system tomorrow. And again, with what's been happening the past couple of weeks, it's really not the amount of rain, again, that's going to be incredible, just what's happened already, and this 1 to 2 inch event that's going to make a potentially incredible situation, unfortunately. Thankfully, the excessive flood risk is just a slight, but it could get much worse in localized areas, and obviously usually that's how flash flood works. They don't flash flood the whole state of New Jersey. It's these little small isolated pockets, but that's what makes it dangerous. Okay, folks, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.